What the Business YouTube, episode 2. My name is Jay Florida, and today's career discussion is a tax prep. So, what is a tax prep? A tax prep is a financial professional who helps individuals and businesses complete and file their income tax return. Their main role is to ensure accurate and compliant filing with federal, state, and local tax laws while helping clients identify potential deductions to minimize their tax liability. Quick history lesson. The earliest records of taxation date back to 3000 BCE. And before we came to know them as taxes, Egyptians would celebrate an event called the Following of Horus, where the pharaoh and his advisors would tour the kingdom, assess the value of the livestock, and then collect the tax on the ownership of said livestock. Now, a few basic requirements to becoming a tax prep include obtaining a diploma or a GED, completing a tax prep course, and preparing a tax identification number if necessary. This could take you anywhere from a couple weeks to a couple months and cost you anywhere from $150 to $2,000. Now, as far as the range, as a tax prep, you do have the potential to cross over that $100,000 earning threshold with a few factors affecting how much you earn, being the type of employment that you have, whether you're freelance or working for a company, the position you hold, and simply how much experience you have. A day in life as a tax prep can be described as high volumes, tight deadlines, highly detailed work and record keeping, fast paced, and interviewing and advising clients. Now, as far as opportunity goes, there is an abundance of positions available. As I was saying, you could either do this freelance or work for a company. So opportunity does score green. And for this episode in particular, I don't have a lineup of examples since this is not a profession where, that comes with fame and notoriety. But there are for certainly tax preparation persons that you can look up in your area. And if you're wanting further insight on what it's like to be a tax prep or how to become a tax prep, I'm sure you could give them a call. Moving on, we have our fact moment segment for this video. So, fact number 1, the Doberman was bred by a tax collector named Carl Friedrich Louis Doberman to protect them while on duty. Fact number 2, in 2024, the U.S. collected $4.9 trillion in taxes. And our last fact for this video, other forms or older forms of taxation include squirrel skulls, human urine, taxes on beards, and taxation on windows in 1696 England, which led locals to use bricks to cover up the windows, avoiding taxes, which then led the government to ensue a taxation on bricks. So, yeah, the government. In our last segment, before the circle of influence, health risks and mitigation. Starting with stress and burnout as a result of high demand and tight deadlines, unusual sleeping hours, eye strain from staring at computer screens for a good portion of the day, and musculoskeletal disorders as a result of long periods of sitting down and repetitive typing motions. Now, with all of these health risks, there is mitigation. So, we have regular breaks. Don't overwork yourself. Try to find some time in the day to, get away from the screens, stretch your legs out, coffee in moderation, give yourself a boost whenever it's necessary. We do have deadlines and whatnot to meet. And then task management. You don't want to fall behind on A and B because you still have C and D to complete. So let's keep all of your tasks in order. And of course, regular doctor visits. You can never go wrong with regular doctor visits, right? Now, that does it for our main segment. I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to my co-host. All right, circle of influence. So it's my time to shine. So, if you don't know, the circle of influence is a small compilation of ideas and statistics that may influence a person to lean into or lean away from pursuing a certain career or position. Now, starting off on the ideological side of things, we have respect. Is this a career or position that carries respect and dignity? Now, the tax prep does score green. Moving on, we have growth. Is this a career or position that presents me with the opportunity to grow? Well, from the $100,000 earning threshold for this segment, the tax prep scores yellow, with sources online citing that tax preps have the potential to make as much as $200,000 per year. Moving on, we have gore. Is this a career or position that will have me in a situation where I'm dealing with blood? Well, for this segment here, the tax prep score is green, yeah. Now, back in the day, things might have been different. There was literally a guy who felt he had to invent a guard dog while on duty. But, we have a different way of doing things nowadays. So, yeah. And moving on from that, we have moral conflict. Is this a position or career that would have me compromise any of my morals? Don't cheat, don't lie, don't steal, that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, for this segment here, tax prep score is green. It does vary from person to person, but just going off of those basic set of morals, yeah, tax prep score is green. Moving on to the statistical side of things, we have gender demographics, where men account for 30% of the industry and women account for 70% of the industry. Next, we have ethnic demographics, where Caucasians account for 56% of the industry, Hispanics account for 18% of the industry, and African Americans account for 11% of the industry. And for our final segment, we have location demographics. Highest paying states, including and in no particular order: New York, California, Virginia, Utah, and Colorado. Now that does it for our circle of influence. I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor back to Florida. All right, I'm back. Just to put it in a summary, we got the tax prep. It's a well-paying career, well-paying position where you aren't compromising any foreseeable morals, and people do respect you. You got a good amount of wiggle room to, if you want to scale up from this $100,000 earning point, you can do that, And it is a women's dominated industry, so there's that for you. So it seems like we got a full episode here. The word of the day is righteous, really righteous. So we got self-help resources here on the board. I'm gonna also leave it down in the description. If you enjoy this content and you want to see more, make sure to comment, like, or subscribe, But yeah, that does it for episode 2, and I'll see you on episode 3.